All right. Howdy and aloha, everyone. James want to talk. It is 7/11, 2024. So head on down to your local 7-Eleven. And I'll make it quick. What a fucking shit show. Welcome to the shit show. Every single day. It's pathetic. It's not just pathetic. It's so telling. If you're not seeing with your own eyes this giant billboard of trickery and theater and lies and lunacy beyond normal comprehension. I'm watching this, right? These people here. Oh, wait, let me go. It's crazy. It's freaking crazy. They're freaking. Look at the title of this. Special coverage. President Biden's high stakes press conference at NATO summit in Washington, D.C. I guess they're just gonna. No other president in history has had, in the past at least 100 years, has had so few press conferences. I mean, it's compared to, let's just say everybody is 100%. Every other president in the world has been, not the world, every other U.S. president in the past 70, 80, 90 years, as long as radio or whatever media has been around, has had, let's say 100% interviews, press conferences with no teleprompter, just answering questions. Hopefully none of them had, hearing devices or anything like that, which who knows. But he said like 10%. Everybody's gas is full. This guy's only at about a quarter tank. Well, no, 16th of a tank. It's terrible. It's terrible. And now, he's going to be under fire. Let's see what's going to happen. So they're going to say, I think this is what they're doing tonight, and I'm just going to guess on this. I think, and then as I scroll through this, all these people are just against. High stakes, president, high stakes. Oh, this is a good part right here. Wait. Here it is right here. Wait. Let's play this one.
Very, very closely. People within the Democratic Party and ultimately voters that have concerns and questions that
what you just saw. Again, we listened in here. It was a bit of an impromptu speech that we listened to, and we heard President Biden make that mistake here of calling President Zelensky President Putin instead.
Yeah, there's been multiple mix-ups of heads of state. Here we heard him call him Putin. He was quick to.
Now they're just noticing this?
Course correct and really have a handle of it. But at other times, we've heard him confuse the president of Egypt with the president of Mexico and even deceased heads of state. And so I think ultimately people are going to be watching this press conference very, very closely. People within the Democratic Party and ultimately voters that have concerns and questions that the administration has to handle.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Sarah Isker, to Rachel's point, is it better for Republicans if Biden remains at the top of the ticket here?
Let me explain what they're doing. They told him, they said, look, we understand you believe in your little mind, your dissolving, demented mind, your whatever, that you are doing something wonderful and great and you've always been just the guy. But let me explain what happened. Right? We rigged it. You didn't win. Right? And I don't think I don't know if they'll even get to that. I think they're going to just throw them out there. They're saying, hey, if you think you can handle this, take some questions and see how it goes. Right? It's like they're throwing him into the fire. They want him to either they're going he may have a hearing device. If he looks down, he's listening to somebody. That's what it usually is. If he scratches his ear, who knows what's going to happen. But all in all, I think they're just like, dude, you're not who you think you are. Look, I know you want to stay, but you're not. But if you think, let's just try this out. But they've already made the decision. I think they're done with this guy. I predicted that they made the decision on Monday, and it's been all over the news throughout the week that they're done. They can't fucking keep letting this demented, disgusting old putrid man continue to be the strength of our country. There's no fucking way. The last debate, he was helped off the stage. Did you see Trump walk off the stage? With fucking authority. He's like, all right, I'm done. Let's get out of here, guys. Boom, 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 boom. Like, you don't fucking walk in his path. That's the way he moves. Right? He's a fucking leader. There are leaders out there. Joe Biden has never been a leader type person. Never. He's never had that. I would never have thought, but that's their puppet. That's what the global pedo-predator class wants, is for him to be the puppet so that they can take down the United States and we're the last stand. And this guy isn't working for them. He's just not. They thought he could do it. They invested as much as they could. They rigged everything. They planned everything. They fucked up everything. They lied about everything. Everything. All theater or all bullshit. They told him everything that they wanted him to hear to make him believe like he's the fucking guy. Right? But he's going to find out tonight that he's not the fucking guy. They've already known since Monday that he's not the guy, because everybody know. I've never seen a more pathetic, and I'm 60, debate in my life. And I know there are people out there that are 18, 20, 25, whatever, 30 years old. I think he did okay, I guess. No, you don't know. There's a lot of things you don't know. This is the sad part about some youth. They just... Even youth on the right or conservative youth or whatever, there's still some things they don't know, right? And I know they're strong on their stances and all this other stuff, but most of it has been coordinated. Did your mom teach you how to question authority and its sources? Because it's always good to do that. Or did they say just believe the monitor in front of you, the television in front of you, the laptop, your cell phone? They just show you how to research that information, where to go to get that information. I've always taught my kids, if you don't like a position or whatever a legislator, judiciary, executive's doing, call. They have phone numbers, they have emails. Call the intern. Say, what's his position on this? And they'll tell you. If they give you an answer that makes sense and it's verifiable, well, could you give me a link or something of where he said that? Sure, go here. It's right on his website. Or go right here. It was posted in this article where it's in this video. Whatever the case. These are the things that people need to learn now. These are the things that kids need to learn now. Right? But let's listen to the rest of them, because I think they're throwing him in the piranha tank. And let's just see if there's going to be piranhas or fucking goldfish in there. I think there's going to be just goldfish, but we'll see.
Certainly the Trump campaign has already come out publicly and said so in a piece in The Atlantic by Tim Alberta, that they would prefer to run against President Biden. But I'll tell you, as a former operative, the hardest...
They don't care. No, they didn't. That never happened. They said fucking put anybody. You guys have done nothing. You were all about the masks. You were all about the lockdowns. You were all about the fucking mandates. You're all about giving money to Ukraine constantly while this country suffers. You can fix the inflation problem, but you won't, because you want people to suffer right? They're Demoncrats. I fucking look. I used to call them Democrats. They're not. There's a really heinous, terrible. I'm not going to say evil because that's for people. That's kind of a matter of perspective. It's a very sinister, sick-minded thing that's happening in that party. And it's come to fruition. It's revealed its ugly head several times. Several fucking times. All right, let's listen to the rest of what she's saying here.
First thing your principal can do is a press conference. Questions are coming from every direction. You're switching topics constantly. This was him speaking off a teleprompter, the easiest thing you can do. So this does not bode well for tonight if he's struggling in the easiest part of a public job because he's heading into the hardest part, an angry thing you can do. So this does not bode well for. But I'll tell you as a former operative, the hardest thing your principal can do is a press conference. Questions are coming from every direction. You're switching topics constantly. This was him speaking off a teleprompter, the easiest thing you can do. So this does not bode well for tonight if he's struggling in the easiest part of a public job because he's heading into the hardest part, an angry press corps that is eager to ask him questions, many for the first time. He hasn't done press conferences, fewer than any president. So I think this is going to be potentially very. This was him speaking off a teleprompter, the easiest thing you can do. So this does not bode well for tonight if he's struggling in the easiest part of a public job because he's heading into the hardest part, an angry press corps that is.
Look at everybody. Some of these people, Kamala, Madam President. See, they're already doing that. And then I put. Let me just go here and show you this real quick. Where is it? They're already prepping. Hopefully I can get there. Give me a second. Where are you? Oh, I'm just going to go here. Fuck it. All right, so they're already. It's already out. We already know who they're going to go with. This is evident with the amount of shitheads that are fucking paid trolls. In the Republican Party. Let me see this. In the Democratic Party. Here it is right here. This guy, Ed Christensen, he's got like a bazillion fucking Democratic supporters. Kamala Harris will be the Democratic nominee and she will beat Donald Trump. Mark my words. And then I put in there, just look at it. Here, watch. Oh, where is it? Right there. Okay? Make it bigger for you. So you can see it better. Alright, yep, there it is. That's everywhere now. So we already know what's going to happen. Right? And this is embarrassing. And let me tell you why. Because he just went to the NATO fucking summit. Spoke on how badass and all this other shit. Just pontificating, lying, bullshit. It's just amazing. And I can back all that up because it's all bullshit. You know, Zelensky's in there getting another $100 billion that Demoncrats and Rhipiglicans are going to vote for so they can get their money in the fucking round table circle jerk that they're on. None of that. Most of that money doesn't go to weapons. It doesn't go to fucking Ukraine. They get maybe like 15% and they spend it on fucking. They spend that money on freaking on Maseratis and shit. Zelensky just bought his wife a $4.8 million Bugatti. You know what a Bugatti is? It's a car. It's a 190 mile an hour car. Just bought her that, right? Because that's democracy. You guys aren't getting it. You're not getting it. Some of you are getting it, but some of you aren't getting it. I'm just telling you, it's fucking amazing. This is such a fucking shit show. It's so funny. Yeah, so there it is, right? This is everywhere. Kamala Harris will be a Democratic nominee. This is repeated over and over and over and over and over and over, all over the internet right now. It's just blasting everywhere. The fucking, all these people that used to, in mainstream media, or MSNBC, CNN, whatever, look at this, ABC, praising Joe, hating, Trump derangement syndrome, derangement syndrome, 888, Trump. Now, they're fucking turning on Biden like crazy. Listen, is it live? Let me see what's going on. Maybe he's on.
Eager to ask him questions, many for the first time. He hasn't done.
He's shit.
In the Middle East.
What people are talking about, the migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gators
With
on the
some
17th
fun.
hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning
America's
There you
number
go.
one early morning news.
on
That's
ABC News
right.
Live.
There is a price to be paid every time.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you a quick picture before they go to that. And I want you to think about what you're doing with your life, with your mind, and how all this shit fucking works. Because I'm going to show you how this all works. Right? Here's the best part right here. This is the order. We're going to move to the top. Right? This is what it would look like if the government was actually transparent. They don't work for us. We don't have that. You have to keep that in mind. A lot of them are bought and fucking paid for. That's where all that money goes for Ukraine. It goes straight back to the coffers. Straight back to the coffers. There's another good one in here. I'm going to make sure I find it. It's one of my favors. He's not on yet. Oh my gosh. Well, just the one I'm looking for, of course. Yeah. LGBTQ++ took over the fucking equal rights movement. So bad. Happened in 2016. The people won't admit it. Yeah. Corporate Equality Index, people. DI been around for a while already. That was just DI was so they could go after minorities for loans. That's all it was for education loans, for school loans. That's all it was for. Yeah, you're like, what? Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was, man. All right, gotta be in there somewhere. Yeah, you people being played, it's just it's amazing how easy it is, and look, I've been fooled, look, what makes you think you will get fooled again? Well, I wanted to go out and revolt in a bazillion man march in 2020, in April and May of 2020, because I knew this was coming. My resources, my research, the information I chickity checked myself, I freaking wanted to know what was going on. So I did some deep diving into the abyss. Well, most people won't go. They don't want to go that far. They don't want to go that deep. It's hard. It's extremely tough for people to go down that path, because once they start seeing just how fucked up this country is, and how fucked up a lot of things are on this planet, then they start to they get defensive. That's for sure. They know it's okay. They kind of go in convulsions. I don't know if you've seen The Matrix, of when Morpheus, fuck, I can't find that. It's not a big deal. It's just the mainstream media doesn't work for you. They haven't. They never have. If you look at this, I mean, look at these studios. Look at the production. You don't pay for this. Their advertisers do. Big Pharma pays for that. Oh, it's coming on soon. right? Yeah, I'm just telling you, they don't give a fuck. They're not. They only, just like they give to Biden, they only give you information that they want you to know. I know that's hard to believe, but like I was saying in the first movie, Matrix, with Keanu Reeves, God, his name was just in my head. The black guy, it'll come. Luther, not. I was going to say Luther Vandross, not Luther Vandross. Fuck it anyway. Well, he goes to take the red pill, blue pill. So they get into this little place, and he's starting to explain to him the Matrix. Now, I'm not saying we're in the fucking Matrix. I don't know if we're in a fucking Matrix. Who fucking knows? That's not what's important right now. What's important is what's happening at this moment. And if this fucking dude this guy's going to get booted, or he's just going to come out and say, you know what, I'm fucking done. But anyway, so what happened is he finally realizes, as Morpheus is telling Neo in the movie The Matrix, he's telling him what's really happening. He's just a battery. You're just a battery to keep the machines running. Sorry, all this is fake. It's all illusion, and it's a CGI, just really good CGI. You know, tapped into your brain, into your nervous system, all this other stuff, whatever. And he goes, no, man, no, out. I want out. This happens a lot. A lot of people can't handle it. It's really hard. You have to be a fucking pretty strong son of a bitch to realize what's been happening around you. And then sometimes you're pissed off at yourself because you're late. Right? I'm a little late when it comes to Trump. Look, he's not perfect, but he's not everything they've said he's been. They're just afraid of him. They're afraid that he's going to expose the lie. He's going to expose more bullshit. He's not going to expose bullshit. He's going to expose what's really fucking happening. And it's going to be hard for people to fucking take. And this is what I'm concerned about. People are going to go, no way, Rachel Maddow, she's been fucking lying to us all. Anderson Cooper, no way. Don Lemon, no, that can't be. Right? Yeah, they're getting paid. You know, they just said in an interview with a lady that had a radio show, this black lady had a radio show with Joe Biden, is they gave her the questions before she had it. These are the questions you ask the president. And Joe had the answers. Right? Oh, there's all the candidates. No, what are the candidates have withdrawn support for President Biden? Oh, no, this is good. Wait, don't go. Let's go back to that. I gotta screenshot that. Did George Clooney pull his... Oh, here we go. Alright. I think that's it. Wait. Okay, that's it. Yeah. Welcome to the shit show every single day. So funny. I'm going to post it on my YouTube real quick. On my Facebook. Oh, he's gone now. Oh, look, Harris 2024. Everybody's saying Harris 2024. All the trolls. If you look here, watch. Everybody's saying Harris 2024. Everybody. Now there it is. It's already done. The biggest slap in the face, I think, for Trump right now would to put Tulsi Gabbard. Right? Is to put Tulsi Gabbard as fucking... as his VP. I'm just posting this just so I can see it later. I did a lot. Look at that. There's some Trump people in there. Trump. RFK Jr. Fucking. Probably next year he should run. Next term. See, there won't be a term. Let me explain. If Biden or Harris or a Democrat becomes president, the country's gone. It's gone. It'll be given to the global pedo-predator class. I'm telling you, it's it. It's over. And I know this is tough for people to believe. No way, what are you talking about, Morpheus? This can't be true. Yeah, it's true. They're already in the process of doing it. They totally support taking our sovereignty away with the World Health Organization. Right? It's the Republicans that said, no. All right, let's catch up to this right here and see if he's on yet. Welcome to the shit show. Let's see what they're saying.
And there is a second Trump administration. He has said as recently as 2 days ago that he doesn't see the value necessarily in NATO. It might change our role in it. So
Good. He doesn't see because NATO is full of shit. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you something right here. And you're going to go, what the fuck, bro? And I'm going to go, this is what's going on. Let me type in, when was NATO started? Or created? 1949. When was Hitler defeated? Oh, 1945. So a few years later... Oh, did you guys see that? Did I go to the right place? Oh, wait. Where did I type that at? Oh, okay, sorry. Un momento, por favor. Alright, let's go back one. April 4th, 1949. NATO started. Hey, did you know that in this picture... Look at this picture to the right. You're going to freak out when I tell you this. All right? Some people in this picture are closely related to the Third Reich of Hitler. Are you kidding? Yeah. Did you know that some of the people that were in NATO were high-ranking officers of Hitler? Yeah. You know, if you ever need that information or those resources, just let me know. Hey, Jordan, what's up? Political swarm is corrupt. Yeah. Dr. Shiva knows, but Dr. Shiva is not very smart because he hasn't gone to Trump. He doesn't have a chance in hell. I'm sorry. It's like Trump has about 90 million people ready to vote up and down ballot and for Trump. 90 million at the least. And he'll probably get more after tonight. Right? But let me tell you something. Dr. Shiva, and I always fucking said this guy, look, he created the email, he's done some wonderful things. I really think he's a brilliant man. But when it comes to marketing, advertising, public relations, not that good. Right? And I'm not saying I'm a guru. I mean, look at me. I fucking work. I do other things. My goal isn't to get out there and do those things. I like to just being a working man. That's just me. So here's the thing. He should talk to Trump. Look, what do I need to do to help you? Right? What do I need to do? I know I've been talking shit about you and effing Bobby Kennedy and all this other crap, but what do I need to do? Right? What do I need to do to help you? What do I need to do? You've got to see where I'm coming from. Right? And a lot of the stuff that he's been saying against Trump isn't panning out, by the way. It's not panning out. And I know he's got some... yeah. Anyway, it's not working. So, April 4th, 1949, the Third Reich class, it doesn't fall away. It doesn't just stop. That's what people think about that World War II. And by the way, Russia lost 20 million people in that war for decades, for over a decade. Right? 20 million from Russia, just gone. Soviet Union, lost people fighting against Hitler. And then we helped the Soviet Union along with other countries. How many people did we lose? 540 something, 500,000 around there. And they lost 20 million. And then all of a sudden Russia became the enemy. Right? Isn't that weird? That was brought to you by the military-industrial complex, a.k.a. mostly Democrats. They've been fucking us for so long, it's crazy. You know, with no fucking loop. It's been terrible. But anyway, so let's go back again. And if we go here, I just think go back. Nope, go forward, go forward, go forward, go forward. I want this to go fucking forward. When was NATO started? When did Hitler, when was Hitler defeated? Right? 1945, April 30, 1945. So they put together this team and they called it NATO. You just don't get it. It's just, you don't get it. Right? Oh, here's another one. Here, watch this one. Oh, no, that's a little different. That was in the 70s. But still. Okay. Let's not go in that direction. I'm still connecting dots there. So let's see what we got going on over here with the president. Is he doing it? Is he on soon? Is he doing it?
And we know some of this is, of course, is happening in response to the fact that Trump is now targeting Kamala Harris in some of his stump speeches as well.
Ah, bummer.
Listen, Mary Alice Parks, Rick, Michael, Mick, and Galen, thank you all for being here.
It's going to be easy. It's going to be easy. Tulsi. Let's just go to Tulsi Gabbard versus Harris debate. Right? You gotta watch this. This is fucking awesome. Right? Let's go to you want to go to Tulsi because they fuck Tulsi Gabbard. Alright, here we go. We gotta do the one where she's towards which is the one where she destroys Kamala Harris. Is it this one? This lady gives me a chubby. I'm sorry. Oh, I want to play that. She's so strong, you know? And she's committed, and it's amazing. Where is the, let me see, Kamala. Oh, here it is. This is good.
What's up, everybody? Alina Habba here.
Hey, Alina.
I am doing this for the first time because I am...
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so.
Blocked the evidence. Look at her. It doesn't matter to her.
She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why.
She's not even addressing what she said. She never did. It was.
We created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response,
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty.
That's bullshit. She won't talk about that particular case.
On cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty. History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
That's a lie, too. That's bullshit. That never happened. She made that up. That was proven that she made that up. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? It would be a fucking huge... It would be a huge blow to this administration or the fucking Demoncrats if they chose this chick here, man. If they chose this chick right here. Where is she? Where is she? Give her the full screen. They never give her the full screen. Wait, right? There. Wait, hold on.
Now, Senator Harris.
Yeah. She's tough. She's a fucking warrior. She's not full of shit, right? She's been in the trenches. She's combat. She's currently serving in the fucking National Guard, right? The Army National Guard. She's a commander or something, like 16, 17 years. You know, me, I'm kind of a sucker for military, unless they're fruity, like the guy running in fucking Arizona. That guy wears a dress all the time, running against Kerry Lake. God, what a piece of shit! You guys got to get rid of that fucker. But let's see where they're at here. Where is it? Oh. Yeah, I recommend going to her channel. She's got some great stuff.
The American people weren't really aware of his status and his actual mental acuity. And now I know that you have a statement from a congresswoman out of Washington state, and the words and the groundswell continue to grow here as people are urging for him to step down for the sake of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and I think you make a point that a lot of Democrats that I've talked to over the last 2 weeks have made, is that they wish this was a debate that was out in the open a year ago. They recognize what Joe Biden has said, that he won the Democratic primaries fair and square. That's all well and good, but these were wired. These were set up for him to win, to make sure that he would be essentially the only candidate who could win the nomination. That is in the backdrop, that is in the background of what's going on now. And now to have Democrats in Congress coming out and saying not just that he should step aside politically, that he's hurting their chances, but at least one now saying that she doubts his ability to actually make decisions on the job. She doubts whether he is currently the person making decisions without any evidence. That is a wild accusation that takes things, I think, to a level that is very difficult to recover. recover from. Regardless of how tonight goes, you now have Democrats on the record saying that to me, it crosses an important threshold. That yes, to your point, this was the Joe Biden that showed up on a debate stage 2 weeks ago. He hadn't debated anyone in 4 years, in part because the Democratic Party fell in line behind him, and in part because he has been well protected by a lot of people around him.
He certainly has been. Again, we keep hearing that he has been shielded in a way. And so, Rachel, we take this to you. Look, think about what it's been like today for the president when we have this polling out that shows that his vice president is polling better than he is in a matchup with Donald Trump within the margin of error. It's important to point out. But that's how he started his day. He knows that the Democratic Party needs to see perfection from him. And then he starts off with this gaffe. So how not only are Democrats going to react to this, but Republicans, Rachel?
Yeah, look, of course Republicans are going to seize on this. They're going to use it on campaign ads. It's going to be all over, you know, Fox News and conservative media as well. But look, the Democrats, the White House specifically, they're not worried about Republicans right now. You know, as Mary Alice was just saying, they're focused completely on trying to assuage Democrats and stopping this bleeding that's happening right now and preventing this domino effect that could happen as soon as this press conference is over. And this is not a good start for him. Democrats are going to say, look, yes, we understand that he corrected himself. He realized he made a mistake and fixed it very quickly, but that doesn't matter. To voters, they know sort of the quick headline of things. They might not have seen the full comments. The thing that's going to stick out to them is this notion that Biden mixed up the president of Ukraine and the president of Russia, and that's going to just be the issue right there. So, look, I'm not sure that this is going to help him at all.
I mean, certainly not. And so, Mick, we take that to you, right? Because we know that world leaders are watching this. We know that both our allies, you know, they've been watching how this is all playing out. Foes as well, of course, because there is concern about what's happening in the Middle East. There's concern about what's happening with Ukraine as well. And so Biden takes this moment to pledge U.S. support for Ukraine, and then he makes this gaffe. And, Mick, you talk consistently about how Russia only responds to strength. Is Biden viewed as a strong leader?
So, Ken, I think that the NATO leaders that are currently in Washington do view him as a strong leader. His policies has really resulted in strong support for Ukraine through all of this, which needs to continue, I think, in NATO's mind, because, quite frankly, as you point out, if Russia thinks it can succeed in NATO, in Ukraine, the next stop could be a NATO country, and then we would all be at war because of Article 5 of the convention. That has been challenged by former President Trump, who has said essentially that he would not come to the defense of certain NATO countries if they were attacked by Russia. So this is very consequential to them. I think they'll be looking at this press conference, not so much of what President Biden is going to say. I think they know what he's going to say, but how he says it, because it could be determinative on whether President Biden stays in the race and whether, if he does, whether he is successful in November. And that has consequences to them.
It certainly does. And as Mick is talking, you can see this video here off to the side. What you're seeing there is a different angle, and you are seeing President Zelensky's reaction to the moment that President Biden mistakenly called him President Putin. And so you're seeing Zelensky's reaction there right before he went to the podium. So, Galen, I want to bring you in here because you've been talking a lot about this polling, and it really, the polling is showing that Americans, a lot of them, believe that President Biden is too old to run for re-election. But Galen, if he were to not be on the top of the ticket here, where does the argument start for Republicans if Kamala Harris is then at the top of the ticket?
Yeah, I think one of the arguments that you've already heard is that she didn't actually win a Democratic primary. And so Democrats have been taking the case to the American people that Donald Trump himself is an anti-democracy candidate because of January 6th and his activities surrounding that. They're trying to turn the argument on its head and say, well, you know, if it's not Joe Biden, the person who won the primary, then it wasn't a democratic process. To be clear, the parties are not in the Constitution, and the process for picking a nominee for each of the parties is largely left up to them. The parties can design the process the way they like. And so if they want to replace Biden one way or another, it is a possibility that the Constitution, for example, will not prevent them from doing.
All right, this is a wild time in our democracy. Mary Alice, Rachel, Mick, and Galen, thank you all for being here with us. We always appreciate you, and thank you for streaming with us. I'm Kana Whitworth. We'll, of course, bring you the President's High Stakes News Conference live when it happens. First, though, we have more special coverage coming up. The news never stops, neither do we. Stay with us.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning. To catch you up with what happened overnight. Police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about. The migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
There is a price to be paid every time a survivor shares their story.
I will not be silenced.
Do you feel the church accepted abuse?
I wouldn't say accepted it as so much pretended it didn't exist.
Yep, that's him.
Yep.
Ready? Kira Phillips with ABC News. Does your church protect sexual predators?
The powerful new Impact by Nightline. Secrets of the 2x2 Church.
There's nothing pretty about hearing this.
Now streaming on Hulu.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories. Start here.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Make it your daily first listen, wherever you get your podcasts.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families.
On the ground in Ukraine.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Reporting from the firefighter helicopter base here in Santa Ynez, California, I'm Kana Whitworth. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. We come to you tonight with breaking news as we are just moments away from President Biden's first press conference in nearly 8 months. He has not directly addressed the media since before Thanksgiving. The president is expected to engage in a freewheeling Q&A with the nation's eyes and ears likely tuned in to every word. This is the culmination of NATO's 75th anniversary summit today, which the president hosted. The chorus of dramatic Democratic lawmakers saying that Biden should step aside continues to go louder as more politicians start to share that sentiment more publicly. Many in just the past 24 hours. 14 House Democrats and 1 Senator, Peter Welch from Vermont, have now said on the record that the president should bow out of the race. But largely, most lawmakers have not publicly stated either way if they support the president or not. Some senators, including Senator Welch today, met with advisors to the president. Senator Welch said his opinion had not changed.
I have not changed my mind, but I really appreciate the White House folks coming over.
Joining us now for more is ABC's Mary Alice Parks from the White House. And Mary, we've heard many Democrats say that they want to wait and see how Biden handles tonight's press conference. Does the White House see this as make or break night for him?
Yeah, Lindsay, after that debate performance, the White House and the president's campaign said that it was just one bad night and that voters and Democratic officials should look to the days ahead and look for moments like this when the president would once again be unscripted and off the cuff. They pointed and really raised the stakes around this press conference themselves. And now they have to meet the moment. The president has to meet the moment. They are very aware of the anxiety on Capitol Hill and how many Democrats are telling reporters like me that unless the president delivers a pitch-perfect press conference today, there could be a flood of more Democratic elected officials calling for the president to step aside. So I can tell you that everyone here in Washington is closely watching this. The White House knows that every single word is going to be scrutinized.
Of course, people are going to be hanging on every word. And Mary Alice, we also know that congressional lawmakers are concerned. But who would you say is Biden's target audience with tonight's press conference?
I mean, really the voters. The president needs to reassure not only swing voters, but Democratic base voters that he is up for this job, that he has the stamina to do this job, the stamina to keep campaigning and effectively message. I mean, look, the president had hoped that this week was going to be about NATO, was going to be about his support for NATO, the ways that he's been able to bring the alliance together. He wanted to draw a clear contrast between his support for NATO and that of former President Donald Trump. So that you saw the campaign put out an ad today where they wanted to highlight that difference. Instead, the president has been engulfed in this crisis, this political crisis about whether he is up for the job. He really knows that his audience is the American people. He needs to reassure them in his confidence and restore confidence in his abilities.
And the White House is, of course, pushing today's new economic numbers, increase in new jobs, lowering inflation. But it seems to all be getting lost still in the questions that remain about Biden's capacity, his acuity. Is that part of the main issue here, that the president is unable to amplify wins like these because potentially concerns?
This is so fucking hilarious. It's also very shameful. I mean, come on. This is fucking shameful. Hey, what is that? What is that right there? Oh. What is that pin? That's Nagger. And National Association of Gun Rights. Right there. Right? My Home Depot hat. Look at the tools on there. So cool. That is cool. Yeah. There's this little spot here. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. It's more alarming than anything. I mean, let's be totally real here. This is just pathetic. These people are just hammering away and constantly.
Lies that no one believes at this point that they can win. He said that members are not stupid. Members of Congress he was referring to are not stupid. If the campaign had real numbers to back up a pathway to re-election, they would come to the Hill and show everyone those numbers. But so far, we've heard from members of Congress themselves, they did not see much data presented from the campaign today. Look, the members of Congress are also talking to their voters, their constituents, the people that they represent, and they are hearing over and over, they are telling us that they are hearing a real concern even from Democratic-based voters that the president should step aside. I mean, I think the crisis within the Democratic Party is real. It is being felt right now, and it really, like we've been talking about all day, raises the stakes for this press conference tonight.
Yeah, something that we have been talking about for days now is this crisis. Mary Alice Parks from the White House, we thank you so much. And now we want to bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, who reports in from the NATO summit today.
President Biden stood on a stage alone and faced reporters. Tonight's news conference, a critical test. His campaign well aware every word will be scrutinized. He has to show the American people he has what it takes in live, unscripted moments to beat Donald Trump and serve another 4 years. Or else the steady stream of Democratic defections could become a flood. Just moments ago, the president misspeaking in a NATO event, introducing Ukrainian President Zelensky as Russia's Vladimir Putin, before quickly correcting himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway. Mr. President, I'm better. You are a hell of a lot better.
It comes as our new ABC News Ipsos poll shows 85% of Americans think he's too old for a second term. Biden has defiantly insisted he's not going anywhere.
I am running and going to win again.
And our national poll shows even after that disastrous debate, the president remains locked in a dead heat with Trump, 46 to 47. But as pressure grows on Biden to drop out, tonight ABC News has confirmed that his campaign has started to privately survey voters to see how Vice President Kamala Harris would do if she were the one to take on Trump. With Biden under fire, Harris has been his relentless defender on the campaign trail, today appearing in battleground North Carolina.
Thanks to Joe Biden, if there is one single person who deserves credit in the world for strengthening NATO, making it stronger, making it more united and more effective, that is Joe Biden. That is Joe Biden.
And our new poll shows that in a
Vice
head-to-head
President
matchup
Kamala
with
Harris
Trump,
spoke with
Harris
the U.S.
actually
Olympic
fares
men's
slightly better than
basketball team during a break at practice Tuesday. Stepping onto the court at 4:23 p.m. MET, she was escorted to the star-studded group of players by head coach Steve Kerr. Harris shook hands with Golden State Warriors star Steph Curry before she spoke with the team at Mendenhall Arena at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. "Our nation is cheering you on. We are so proud of you," she said. "Go to Paris and bring back that gold." She then shook hands with Devin Booker, LeBron James and Anthony Edwards before she took a photo with the entire roster. The U.S. team, loaded with future basketball Hall of Famers, including Curry, James, Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard, plays Canada in an exhibition Wednesday night at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It begins its quest for an Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, they're already positioning her. What would and could be for could be what would be could be. Yeah, that guy's like, ew. That was it.
Hey now, how are you doing? Well, Team USA, I just wanted to come by and say beat Canada, bring back the gold.
There we go.
But
it's an exhibition game, you fucking idiot. It's an exhibition game. God.
Truly, you all represent the best of the best.
He's like, look at that guy in the background. Fuck you. She's like, fuck you. I bet you some of these guys, they were surprised. This was not planned. They brought her in just to get a fucking photo op. You can see that guy in the back with his arms crossed. Like, fuck off. Right? Yeah, it's, they're not excited to see that piece of shit. She put people in jail. She put people in jail. Those people in jail. Lots of them. Constantly. I played it for you. She's full of shit. She's not. They're not. No, it's just a big lie. All of it. It's just, you'll find out. I've already proved it. I've already done the research. I've already put it up. I've already had multiple episodes here on Monotalk, Power of Talking. My documentary, by the way, of how fucking stupid shit has gotten since early 2020. This is my 6th channel because of the Orwellian, 1984 Orwellian, George Orwell, Ministry of Truth, right? The same system and practices that the Third Reich used, which they, like I said, Demoncrats, they love censorship. Love it. Rhipiglicans love it too, because they're all in the same boat. That's the oligarchy, right? That's the oligarchy. That's the Mitch McConnells, the fucking the AOCs, the fucking they're all in there. They're in there. The only person I really like right now is my senator. I like Josh Hawley, but I'm just not. There's something about him. I need him to really step forward and start showing his support, which he's doing for the farmers. I think is good. But Eric Schmidt is to fucking. That guy is a fucking. I was gonna say right now. No, he is a fucking bulldog. That guy, he's a bulldozer, man. He's a bulldozer. And I really like the way he's doing things. Parsons, the governor here, is a shithead. Eagle, the new guy, I think he should take over. Parsons is full of shit. He was all about the mandates and all that other shit. Anyway, it's just, we're just going to continue watching this. Let me see if I can find it. They're starting to prep it up. Let's see what's going on. I'm going to take a break until that comes. But we're just going to watch the shit show. We're just going to watch it, see how it fucking goes, because it's going to be bad. Everybody's watching this right now. This is the first time he's had an actual press conference. And in Thanksgiving, he only answered like 6 questions. I looked at it. It was so bad. Right? How are they going to have a monitor? Are they going to have an earpiece? Whatever is going to happen. Right? Or are they going to just feed him to the dogs? I think they're going to feed him to the dogs. They're already prepping Harris. And right after NATO, you know, and you call fucking Zelensky Putin. Oh, no, it's not Putin. No, that's not what I meant to say. Well, at least he caught it. They can say that. Most of the stuff he doesn't catch. It wasn't one bad day of a debate. It's every day. Every day that guy is fucking off. Right? Yeah, he's done. They're already prepping Harris. She came in on a surprise fucking visit to the U.S. Olympic team. She's going to be propped up. She's going to show. They're going to try to make her as patriotic as possible, but it ain't going to work. Because once fucking Tulsi Gabbard starts going out in her, it's over. And I keep telling the Trump campaign, if you want her to fucking shake in her boots, if you want Harris to shake in her fucking boots, in her stilettos or whatever the fuck she wears, she's frightened by Tulsi Gabbard. She cannot compete with that woman. Not many people can. She's pretty fucking tough. Tulsi Gabbard is a shark. I think her Amakua is the same as mine. She's a fucking shark for sure. Right? She is a fucking shark. Let me see if I can get back to her channel real quick. Alright, let's enter. It's not in here. Wait. Hold on. Welcome to the Chit Show. Yeah, Trump should just say fuck off to NATO and fucking the UN. They're just military industrial complex. That's all they care about. Yeah, everybody in the chat, they're all saying completely and totally. Let's look at a couple of videos. I think she just did. It was really cool. She recently did. Oh, here we go. Why isn't that playing? It's a beautiful day here in Fort Carson, Colorado, and a very special one. Oh, Colorado just declared a COVID-19 bird flu thing emergency. The governor, the fucking blue governor. Of course it was. Alright? That fucking state's gone to shit. There it is. Tells you your tactical training. She was in the tactical games. See if I can see her in here. This ain't fucking easy shit, man. Where is she? She's in one of these. Right here. Where's my... There it is. I love this song. Hip flip move. It's gonna give me which I don't know if that's it. I gotta turn off that. Let's keep it going. Air 15. Looks like a Glock 9. She's a fucking tough. She's too tough. She is too tough to be a Democrat. I'm telling you, I mean, I'm talking about the Demoncrats. They're just not, you know, in their heart and soul strong people. I just don't see it. I just see a bunch of men in dresses. That's what I see. I don't know what you see, but that's pretty apparent these days. I think there was a time when there used to be some strong fucking Democrats, right? But no, they're not. No, not just because you have a gun, you're strong, because you're not only, when you have a gun, you're a disciplined person. In order to keep a firearm in your home, right? In order to keep a firearm in your home, right? You have to be a disciplined person. You have to be a person that can fucking make proper decisions that keep the safety of yourself and your immediate surroundings, friends, neighbors, family, etc., family, friends, neighbors, as number one, right? Safety is huge. But at the same time, you're also protecting yourself. And you're protecting those people around you. If something crazy comes down, or somebody gets really stupid, you know, it's a fuck around and find out situation, man. That's all I'm saying. And that's the place where you don't want to be on, is on the other side of that. You know, if you're going to be, you know, I have my I've always said, and this is what I will say, the reason why the First Amendment exists is because the Second defends it. All the communist countries out there, Hitler, they took away their guns. The first thing they did is took away the public's guns. They took away their guns. So they couldn't fight back in case they disagreed with them. That's the first thing they did. And people don't get that, you know. And that's why that was in the Constitution. Right? To defend against foreign and domestic enemies. Domestic enemies. People from the government, you know, that a well-trained militia to make sure that the government doesn't get too fucking carried away, and they are, because now the government's listening to the globalists. This group of wanting you to eat bugs, wanting you to own nothing and be happy. I mean, I've got, even here it's just rental. That shouldn't happen. Trump has a program that wants everybody to have fucking land, right? And there are systems out there where you can, but that's not. The Demoncrats are socialists in a sense, communist authoritarianism apparatus. This is the way it works. Is they control the people with their food, with their gas, with their lives, with their social everything. It's just total control, right? But the abyss of this, which people don't and won't talk about. Right, let's see if this is back. Hang on, let me go back to here. See if we. There's the press waiting to fucking.
He would back out of support of Ukraine, the ways that he has potentially been cozy with Russia. This was exactly the kind of moment that the Biden team had hoped for and really, I think, could have seized on to win over some of those swing voters. But all of that obviously lost in the noise here. The president just unable to get that kind of messaging across when so many questions instead circling around his own health condition and stamina.
And Mary Alice, I want to bring you the same question into the conversation that we talked about with Rachel Bade, and that is tonight's performance almost a moot point? Is it, even if it's flawless, would it be potentially too much, too little, too late for many of the donors and the head honchos of the Democratic Party?
Too little, too late.
Look, I think that there's a big party that we're talking about at many different levels here. We're talking about the president's re-election campaign, donors that support that campaign. But there's also the Senate map, the House map. I think that we have heard from some donors, and we'll likely continue to hear from some donors who might move their focus and talk publicly about moving their focus to other races. I can tell you that I've heard from staffers who are working to get Democratic senators re-elected say that maybe it would actually help their case. People would be convinced that Trump was going to win, and so it would help Democrat Senate candidates up for re-election to make an argument that they will be this check on Trump. So will there be that kind of reshuffling of money and attention? Maybe. But look, we do still have 4 months. I think that to play devil's advocate here to this conversation, the president could, in theory, continue to turn the page, slowly restore confidence, but it will take moments like this, and it will take many, many more of them, I think. And of course, it'll take elected Democrats from sticking. They need to stick with him. I mean, he needs to find a way to stop this bleeding.
Sure. Well, only time will tell, as they say. Mary Alice from the White House, thank you. Of course, we'll be checking back in with you tonight. Tonight, members of the Democratic Party are also coming forward with concerns about President Joe Biden, dating back to almost a month ago. Concerns, they say, arose after they saw him just weeks before his debate with Donald Trump at the White House Juneteenth celebration. Olivia Rubin joins us now with more. Olivia, what are you hearing on that front?
Lindsay, fascinating new accounts from a number of lawmakers who were with President Joe Biden just weeks before the debate. There was this event at the White House. It was to celebrate Juneteenth. Some of the clips from that event actually went viral because the president appeared to not really be moving at that concert at the White House. And now I spoke with a number of attendees, lawmakers, a former White House Obama official who were at that event and are now saying that they did have concerns after seeing the president up close and personal at that event. One lawmaker ultimately said it was that event coupled with the debate that led him to come out and call for President Biden to step aside. He was one of the first to do so, Lindsay, and what he said was that because he had seen essentially Biden 2 times looking worrisome to him, he felt that he could not, believe that talking point that it was just one bad night, that he had seen Biden twice and that this was not just a bad night. Really fascinating stuff, Lindsay. One other lawmaker telling myself and Will Staken, who did this reporting, that she had seen Biden 4 times in person over the past year and had noticed that decline. She was so concerned at one point, Lindsay, she said she privately raised concerns to White House staffers, joking with them that they had to, quote, keep Biden stitched together until November. So really just some fascinating new reporting on how there potentially were some concerns, how Biden potentially was not looking so great even before the debate, and how that is shaking out now, Lindsay.
And this obviously goes to the belief among some that the debate was not an isolated event, although the president says it was. Do you think that tonight, potentially having one good night is able to counter potentially one bad night?
Well, you've heard from those that have been chasing around lawmakers, all week, that potentially it will not be enough. But it does seem, Lindsay, that every single time someone comes out to say, hey, I've seen President Biden up close and personal, and he is the man that we saw on the debate, it has not gone well for them. Think about the op-ed from George Clooney. He said that the Biden at the debate was the Biden at the fundraiser that he hosted weeks ago. Now you have multiple attendees at the White House, lawmakers. Like I said, a former Obama White House official telling me the Biden that they saw just 2 weeks before the debate was the Biden they saw at the debate. So it is the same idea that it is not one bad night, Lindsay.
A critical time for President Biden, his presidency and his campaign, and another potential make or break moment. The president is about to hold his first full news conference in 8 months amid growing pressure from some members within his own party to withdraw from the race against Donald Trump. President Biden will be live here, unscripted, taking questions from reporters. The International Press Corps assembled after the NATO summit in Washington. Of course, that means the world is watching, the country is watching this tonight. The president has repeatedly insisted he will not step aside in this race, saying he is staying in this race for president. More than a dozen Democrats now on Capitol Hill have called for him to withdraw from the race. All of this after his debate performance. Earlier today, the president's top campaign aides went to Capitol Hill to meet with Senate Democrats behind closed doors, trying to ease their concerns despite the turmoil of the last 2 weeks and the debate. Tonight, a new ABC News Washington Post poll, also conducted with Ipsos, showing President Biden and Donald Trump essentially tied. Trump at 47, Biden 46. The poll also shows Vice President Kamala Harris doing slightly better in a hypothetical matchup against Trump. Harris 49, Trump 46. The president set to take questions live. Again, an unscripted moment for him. Mary Bruce, you're in that room, and you know how rare this is.
It certainly is, David. It has been 8 months since we have seen the president come on a stage like this alone to face reporters, and he is under an intense microscope here tonight. The president well aware of that, David.
Mary Bruce, our chief White House correspondent, as we continue to watch this room, reporters in the room who are gathered now standing along with others. And here comes President Biden after the NATO summit in Washington. Let's listen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Well, good evening. We just concluded this year's NATO summit, and the consensus among the members was it was a great success. It was especially momentous because it represented the 75th year, the most important military defense alliance in the world's history of the world. We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II, the most destructive war in history.
Oh, see, that proves it.
The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense. Standing together, they knew we'd all be safer. An attack on one would be treated as an attack on all. And it's worked because a would-be aggressor knows if they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. But this time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion.
Planning to invade Ukraine.
I directed the intelligence community to be a significant amount of
That's
intelligence be declassified.
That's it.
So I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion. Then in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself. Many foreign policy experts thought, as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, but Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia. The capital would fall in less than a week. But the Ukrainian people, backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv still stands. And NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved.
He's got a cold.
NATO's not only stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance. And it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5.
You don't need to keep sending money that way.
He's already told Putin, and I quote, do whatever the hell you want.
Send those hundreds of billions to us,
The
you
day after Putin
motherfuckers.
invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said.
Send it to our farmers who lost
But
their
I made
farms.
it clear. A strong NATO
Send it
is
to our
essential
truckers who
to
lost their
American
work.
security.
Send it to
And
our
I believe
construction
the
companies
obligation of
and
Article 5
infrastructure.
is sacred.
Fuck you.
And I would remind all Americans, Article 5 is invoked only once in NATO's long history, and that was to defend America after 9/11. I made it clear.
Building 7,
I
everyone.
will not
Look at
bow
Building
down
7.
to Putin. I will not walk away from Ukraine. I will keep NATO strong. That's exactly what we did. and exactly what we'll continue to do. Now, the future of American policy is up to the American people. This is much more than a political question. It's more than that. It's a national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues that need a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come. Every American must ask herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer?
No.
Is your family safer?
No.
I believe the American
Because you
people
guys want
know.
to get into fucking World War
The answer to
III.
all those questions is yes. And I believe the American people understand that America is stronger because of our alliances. I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world.
You're a fucking
We must lead
illegitimate
the world.
piece of shit anyway.
We're our indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote. Now let me turn to three
Madeleine
other key
Albright.
issues.
She brought up Madeleine Albright.
Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing
God.
inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month. Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares. Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year. We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further. Meanwhile, Trump's calling for a 10% tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas, vegetables, and other necessities. And economists tell us that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a
That's
tax.
bullshit. He wants to bring it to the farmers here, grow.
Second,
Instead
our
of getting
efforts to
from
secure
China,
the
you
border,
piece
the
of
southern
shit.
border is working.
Instead of getting it from
After
Mexico,
Trump
you
killed the
piece of shit.
bipartisan effort to secure the border, Republicans and Democrats had worked on, because he thought it would benefit me and make him a loser.
That's how many questions you take.
Republicans walked away. So I took executive action last month. As a consequence, working with Mexico, border encounters have gone down over 50%. The current level is lower today than when Trump left office.
That's bullshit too. All
Third,
that's bullshit. When you really get
for
the
months,
real numbers, you'll know.
the United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East.
Kids are still dying.
6 weeks ago, I laid out a detailed
shit.
plan in writing. It was endorsed by the UN Security Council, the G7. That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close. We're making progress. The trend is positive. And I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now. Let me conclude where I began. We're the United States of America. We are the indispensable nation. Our leadership matters. Our partnerships matter. This moment matters. We must rise to meet it. With that,
you want to do it, buddy.
I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here.
Oh, a list. I've been given a
Word.
list. Oh, there it
Definition.
is. Oh, that's good. That doesn't help.
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside.
George Clooney
Reuters
a
is reporting
lawmaker?
tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not
Oh,
qualified
what?
to be president. So let's
She
start
said
there.
Vice President Trump to
Number
be
one.
vice president.
The fact is that the consideration
Did you catch it?
is that I think
Oh
I'm
my
the most
God.
qualified person
Somebody
to run for
fucking bring
president.
that up.
I beat him
Oh
once.
my God.
and I will beat him again.
Oh, my God.
Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now,
Lower numbers than
later in the campaign. So it's a
creepy
long way to
Joe.
go,
There's the creepy
this
Joe.
campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving. And because, look, I got more work to do. We got more work to finish. There's so much, we made so much
Let
progress.
him keep talking.
Think
Just let
about
him keep.
Think
Don't
about
cut
where
him
we are
off.
economically relative to the rest of the world.
Just let him keep talking.
Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million jobs.
They're still feeding the
things are
bullshit.
moving. We got more to go.
Oh,
Working
my
class people
God.
still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic.
Yeah, your prices
They're
have
coming
doubled.
down. And so I'm optimistic about where things are going. Danny Kemp, AFP.
Oh, gotta read. You can't just pick
Thanks.
somebody. Trump would just
thank
go,
you,
you.
Mr. President.
You.
I wanted to ask you about your
A list that
you
they gave
mixed
you.
up Presidents
That's so
Zelensky and
fucking
Putin
weak.
earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime Minister, the President of France, the German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you on that. Officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing by leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
See, he fucked up again.
And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea
Sid, he's
anybody
done.
suggests
He's so
that
fucking done.
Oh my we haven't had an incredibly
And he doesn't.
successful conference.
He's just so full of himself. This is
How many
not-
times did you hear
narcissism
in
will
that
bite you in the
conference?
ass.
I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden, because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is well. Anyway, I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was. Next one, Nancy Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned there are instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years. Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you
I
stay
know
in
why
the
I would
race,
pick that person.
despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is
I know why I
unfit
would
to
pick that
return to the
person.
Oval Office?
Well, look, I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started. As you
Destroying the
recall,
United States.
understandably, many of you and many economists thought my
He
initial
doesn't even know
initiatives that I put forward can't do that. It's going to cause inflation. Things are going to skyrocket. The debt's going to go up. What are you hearing now from mainstream economists? 16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job. And under my plans, so
They're
far, and what's
paid
going to happen
fucking crisis
in the
actors.
future if I'm reelected.
Because they're paid crisis actors.
Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected to stop the trickle-down economic theory. That if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table. Middle-class people and working-class people need help. And so what happened is I decided to was able to implement as president what I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up. That way, we grow the economy. And the wealthy still do very well. They do fine. And guess what? Find me an economist, a mainstream economist, who said we haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now?
Oh, there's a bunch.
And so we got more to do, though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world.
Oh,
Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware than every other state in the nation combined. I'm not anti-corporate, but corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. Doubled. It's time things get back in order a little bit.
Yeah.
It's time.
I wonder why
for
that
example,
is.
If I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase. Corporate rents for apartments and the like and homes are limited to 5%. We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy. And by the way, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. And guess what? We had the Treasury Department do a study. When unions do better, everybody does better. Everybody does better. And we talk about how, for example, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip. 40% of the industry was in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there, and import what the product was. And so what did I do? I was told not to go over to to Asia, including Europe, but Asia. And I remember going to South Korea, convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build computer chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world, and you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing, just coming into being. None of you thought that would happen. None of you thought that would happen. But it's happening. It's happening. And it's going to grow economies all through. And by the way, red states and blue states.
That's not why you're there, buddy.
Matter of fact, there's as much in red states.
That's not why you're there. You're there to take the country down, and you don't even fucking know you're doing it.
The idea
and he doesn't know he's doing it. He's being told totally different than what's actually happening.
Make it fair.
That's what a puppet does.
Like I said, from my standpoint, when the middle class does well, that's when the whole economy grows. The poor have a shot, the wealthy do well. But the wealthy got to start paying their taxes.
As a follow-up, sir, you mentioned that your Vice President Kamala Harris would be ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years that make her ready to serve on day one if necessary?
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board. This was a hell of a prosecutor. She was a first-rate person, and in the Senate, she was really good. I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president. From the very beginning, I made no bones about that. She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her. Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
The limits I've acknowledged I have?
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true. Look, what I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting a fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock.
Trump gets up at like 4:35 in the morning. He doesn't go to sleep until about 2 o'clock in the morning. The guy works his fucking ass off every day.
Since I made that
he could not compare. Could not compare.
In the debate.
Trump's.
I mean, My schedule is
diligence, work ethic,
I've done
and his inner strength.
Filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball. I mean, look, he's done virtually nothing. And I don't know how many, don't hold me to it, roughly 20 major events. Some with thousands of people showing up.
Oh,
and so,
a couple thousand.
I just think it's better.
They have.
I always have
It's almost like they've never shown him the fucking Trump rallies.
Or
have you seen the 20,000, the 30,000, the 10,000, the 5,000 Trump fucking rallies? This is so they don't show it.
The next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before. Anyway, that's what it was about. That's what it was about. And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway,
you forget what you're doing? You almost forgot what he was doing.
I'm sorry, Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
Like now.
First thing about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia. We've allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term, in the near or abroad, into Russia. Whether or not he should be attacked. For example, should Zelensky, he's not. If he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't. The question is, what's the best use of the weaponry he has, the weaponry we're getting to him? I've gotten him more long-range capacity, as well as defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people.
Who are these people? What are their names?
We're making a day-to-day.
Guaranteed he doesn't know the fucking names.
How far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do. Second question related to
bad nights, sir. How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or on some matter of foreign policy?
Well, I tell you what.
Oh, my God.
The best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done? Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major pieces of legislation passed in 3.5 years?
Oh, my God.
I created 2,000 jobs just last week. So if I slow down, I can't get the job done.
Dude,
that's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it.
Oh,
there's no indication of that yet. None.
And these are chosen people.
Who I got here?
Who do I got here? What am I doing? I lost my place.
Merrick, Pulaski Radio.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States.
A bunch of fucking ball lickers.
There is a concern.
A bunch of fucking ball lickers.
Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And there's a lot of concern that Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning just 2 minutes ago about it. So my question is,
fuck Ukraine, nobody gives a shit.
Do you think that Europe will be left on its own if Donald Trump wins the election? And what's your advice to European leaders to prepare for possible US disengagement?
Well, look, I think, how can I say this without sounding too self-serving? I've not had any of my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run. What I hear them say is, you've got to win. You can't let this guy come forward.
What?
It'd be a disaster.
What?
It'd be a disaster. I mean, I think he said in one of his rallies, don't hold me to this, recently, where NATO, I just learned about NATO or something to that effect. Foreign policy has never been his strong point. And
that was like
he seems to have an affinity to people who are authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you, Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that
Which
if he
nobody
wins
really
in
knows
Ukraine,
about
he's going to
NATO
stop in
until
Ukraine.
recently they started
That's gonna be
creating
the end
these
of it.
fucking wars.
And so what I can say is, I think I'm the best qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds, that the European
They'll
alliance
never
stays
succeed.
strong.
It's fucking Russia,
You may
asshole.
recall, no one was talking about Finland joining NATO. I remember talking to Putin right after we got elected in Geneva, and he was talking about what we should do. We couldn't be in Eastern Europe, et cetera. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine, because you're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. No, that's not true. Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me? In my office. I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes. I beg your pardon? And
They're going to
so
start firing at him.
Finland
Good, please go.
joined NATO. 800-mile border is a significant.
Go,
and
go.
They're already
More.
allies.
Fuck these
But they weren't part of
idiot
NATO.
questions.
And you heard,
Go.
I think you heard, maybe, I can't recall what he said in public in our closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind it being repeated. He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be part of NATO. It was in our interest because of the joint ability to be together, to dissuade any attack on Finland. And the same thing with Sweden. It took a lot of selling to some folks, particularly in Turkey and other places, to agree to the expansion. But it expanded. And we're a hell of a lot stronger because of it. We're more secure because of it. And by the way, I was able to get 50 other nations, 50, to support Ukraine. 50.
Who else is on
We're
my...
able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea,
Every
the
president's
United
had
States.
that. Every president has had that.
We're making the world safer.
Every president has had that in the past 50 years.
Arrangement that exists in the world.
There's only one person I know that fucking went and talked to North Korea.
Post-war era is over.
Right?
What is going to replace it?
Trump.
And I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I've convinced a lot of people to follow it. We're just going to get stronger. David Sanger.
550 countries. Oh my God.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
Mr. President,
be nice.
The NATO declaration that was
So pathetic.
issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little
he's
bit
being very
doubtful of
nice.
when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be interested to know whether you have a strategy now
Nobody fucking
of
cares
trying
about
to
this
interrupt
question.
the partnership between
Ah,
China
you fucking little
and
bitch.
Russia.
He's a little bitch.
And whether or not in a second term,
Well, let's hear his
you would
answer, 'cause
pursue
he's
that,
gonna
if you could
fuck up
describe
anyway,
that
so.
strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
Well, the first part of the question is, we discussed and I raised in the NATO summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do, what they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating, facilitating. They're getting access to additional. They're not supplying weapons themselves. They're supplying mechanisms for them to be able to get weapons. And China's
Everybody
position
does
is
that.
basically, and I've spent
China does that for every fucking country on the planet.
over
Even
9
our
years since being vice president.
devices have Chinese fucking
And by the way, I
devices.
handed all my notes. But my point is that she believes that China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we cannot, you have to make clear China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where, and we've reestablished direct contact with China after that, remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down, and all of a sudden things came to an end? Well, we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our military has direct access to one another, and they contact one another when we have problems. The issue is that we have to make sure that she understands there's a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe,
God.
and as it relates to Russia and dealing with Ukraine. And so we, for example, if you want to invest in China, as you know this area really well. If you want to invest in China, you have to have a 51% Chinese owner. You have to make sure that you do by their rules. And you don't have the authority, and you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have. There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in a market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market. And so they were doing it. But that got curtailed when we started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by the
these. I
international
love
rules
the
related
fucking.
to
This is so
subsidizing.
great. You got to watch this. These comments are great. You got to watch the comments. They're great. You know, I'm getting rid of this, Jordan, so we can see all of it. This is fucking. These people are hilarious. Look at that, laughing. VP Trump. Yeah. Oh, there's some JFKs. Marianne Williams says people want Bernie.
That impact?
Yes, I do, but I'm not prepared to talk about the detail of it in public. And I think you'll see that some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China, as long as China continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able
What was
to
that word?
help their economy as well as help them in as a consequence of that their ability to fight in Ukraine. The other thing that we talked a lot about is that, and I raised it, and there was I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed because not everybody got to talk about it. But we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example, we talked about how both the EU as well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity, has to be able to generate their own capacity to provide for weapons and the ability to, it came as a surprise to some of us how we had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new everything from vehicles to weapon systems. And so one of the things that came out of this was we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems. Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that. It's the same, it's what Russia's trying to figure out. That they went to China and they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea. But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base for it to be able to, the ability to have all the defensive weapons that we need. That was a discussion as well.
What the fuck did that mean?
I'm not sure you answered on whether you would be ready to go deal with Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years from now.
I'm ready to deal with them now and 3 years from now.
He forgot the fucking question.
Like I said, I'm dealing with Xi.
He forgot the fucking question.
And direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now. There's not much that he is prepared to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior. And but there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with. But I understand the
down the road
point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin unless Putin's ready to change his behavior. And the idea...
No, down the road.
Putin's got a problem.
Oh, God.
First of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, and by the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but I think Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they've conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage, loss of life.
Okay, here it is.
They've also lost over 300.
NATO is going to drop us out of NATO because of this fucking belligerent, demented puppet.
Technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell to the constituencies. They lie like hell about what's going on. And
down the road, he's answer the fucking questions.
We're going to be
Ask
able
him
to
again,
fundamentally
dude.
change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine, they're not stopping in Ukraine. I recommend, I know you know this because you've written about it, read Putin's speech after they moved in, what it was all about in Kyiv. It wasn't about just...
It's Kyiv.
Anyway, read what his
Jesus, fuck.
objective is. And anyway, but so I think that...
So anyway,
I'm prepared to talk to any leader who wants to talk.
Now,
including
right now,
Putin
or
called
3
me
years
wanting
from
to
now?
talk. Last time I talked to Putin was trying to get him to work on an arms control agreement relating to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far. So my point is, I'm prepared to talk to anybody, but I don't see any inclination. There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me, because they're not sure.
Down the road, that's the question,
and
dude.
look what's happening
2 or
in
3
Asia.
years down the. Oh, just
We
keep
have
going.
strengthened
No, fuck it, just keep
the
going.
Asian
Love it.
Pacific area
Love
more than
this.
anyone else has.
Love this.
We just put
fucking
together
going.
with today. I brought on. I asked our NATO allies that we bring on a group from the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Australia. I already mentioned Australia, and I met twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations.
Oh my God, this is fucking
And we've slowed
brutal.
down what's going on there. We've slowed down China's reach.
Okay.
But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving
It
target.
is. Oh.
And I don't take it
Down the road. Somebody follow up with that. Down the road.
Sam from NPR.
They're not gonna.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier,
NPR
you
is
spoke about the
a
ceasefire
bitch.
plan between Israel and Hamas.
NPR is a
We're now
full
looking at
bitch.
10 months of war. And I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to when you talked about would I have changed anything that's happening with Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestinian movement.
Okay.
The
Nobody
answer
gives
is,
a
you
fuck
recall
about
from
that. So here, let me just tell you this. He missed the fucking question. He thought he was talking about. Sorry, gotta do this. He probably understood it at first, but then he went in a different tangent. But the question was down the road, 2 or 3 years from now, will you be able to fucking talk to a world leader that is threatening the United States or one of our allies? That's the question, and he never addressed that. He missed the whole fucking thing. And then nobody's gonna fall. These are all chosen fuckheads. You know, Trump would be like, "You, what do you got? You, what do you got? All right, bring it."
And her assistant was Rabin sitting next to me. That's how far back I go.
This is
Israel well.
this is like shriveled old balls, right? This guy just reminds me of balls that are shriveled. You know what I'm saying? He's just such a fucking testicles. The weak fucking God. He shows total weakness, and you can't have that guy out there. It's terrible. It's fucking pathetic.
Arab nations, particularly from Egypt all the way to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, he's gonna fuck up big. He's already screwed up about 20 times already speaking. Some of them pretty bad. 550. What the fuck is that?
The question's been from the beginning, what's the day after?
Yeah.
In Gaza. And the day after in Gaza has to be the end of the day after has to be no occupation by Israel and the Gaza Strip, as well as the ability for us to get in and out as rapidly as you can all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things that I've put forward have not succeeded as well.
What do you mean us go in
like
there?
the port
What are you
reattacks
talking
from
about? Did you just
Cyprus.
say that?
I was hopeful that would be more successful. But that's why
None of our fucking business.
when I went to Israel immediately after the
sakes.
massacres that occurred at the hands of Hamas.
God, world
that I-
police. It's just bullshit.
one thing I
We're sick of
said
it.
to the Israelis,
Money, the energy, the time. Focus here.
the same mistake
That's what
America
Trump's
did
doing. He's
after bin
focusing
Laden.
here. To you, to us.
Occupy anywhere.
Right? He's not
Go
gonna.
after
You can
people who
fucking
did the job.
take kids, go have sex,
You
do
may
whatever you
recall
want.
Hitler
He
being
doesn't.
criticized
Fuck.
for it, but I was totally
You know.
opposed to the occupation and trying to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden, we should have moved on. because it was not in our. No one's ever going to unite.
But who created Bin Laden? We
I've
did.
been over every inch of that, not every.
Go
inch.
look up
The
Charlie
entire
Wilson's
poppy
war.
field,
That's Bin
all
Laden.
the way
We
to the
fucked
north.
them over.
I said, don't make the same mistake we made. Don't think that's what you should be doing, is doubling down. We'll help you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this
You are the
criticism about
bad
I
guy,
wouldn't
bro.
provide when the weapons.
He doesn't know it. He just doesn't know. I
I'm
told
not
everybody.
providing 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and damage. But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel.
Let him go. Just let him
with
fucking
rockets
go.
and ballistic missiles. I was able to unite the Arab nations as well as Europe, and nothing happened. Nothing got hurt. It sent an incredible lesson.
You've already
to
caused
what was
people
going on
damage.
from the Middle East. So there's a lot.
16 fucking people from
in
Afghanistan.
retrospect, I wish I had been able to convince the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. Doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And
Yeah,
if you
once
notice, you know better than most.
Get out of
there
Ukraine
is a
too.
growing
But he won't.
dissatisfaction.
That's a money
in-
laundering scam.
on the West Bank.
You'd be an idiot to believe you're going to
from
fucking
the
beat Russia.
Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now.
Complete and total.
And so there's a lot of moving parts.
What do we got here? Trump
I just have to
Biden
keep
forever? Oh my
moving to
God.
make sure that we get as much done
Long
as we
ass
can
answer. I know
toward a
it's terrible.
A ceasefire.
Yeah.
Get those. And by the way, look at the numbers in Israel. I mean, my numbers are better in Israel than they are here. But then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
What?
Bridge candidacy in 2020. You referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate for a younger, fresher generation of Democratic leaders, and I wanted to know what changed.
What changed was
You didn't answer that question either.
the gravity of the situation I inherited in terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth. Most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more
Historians.
than most any president
Historians.
since Johnson and maybe before that to get major pieces of legislation passed. And what I realized was my long time in the Senate had equipped me to have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress to get things done. We got more major legislation passed that no one thought would happen. And I want to finish
Time for a nap, Joe.
to get that finished.
Sandman.
If tomorrow, if we had a
Lies,
circumstance
total
where
lies.
there was
People,
a
Trump,
lineup and
RFK.
hadn't inherited what I did, and we just moved things along. Anyway,
Obfuscation. That's a good
it's
word.
gonna
I love that
change.
word.
Last question.
Obfuscation. Quinn, FTW.
Haley Bull, Scripps. Or no, Josh Weingrove, I'm sorry, was the next one. I'll do two more questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Many of your colleagues, Democrats on the Hill, are watching tonight as they assess what they want to say about your candidacy. I'm wondering how you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about whether how the next week or two goes would inform your...
Am I using that way, you said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out, for the longest time it was, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway. And so what I'm doing is what I've been doing. I think we've done over 20 major events.
Anyway.
From Wisconsin to North Carolina, to demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade.
Does he
people
watch?
to move
He's got to
our way,
watch this.
or people are already there.
Somebody's got to say.
We have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long
Look
time.
at that. Look at
We
that.
have well over 1,000 volunteers.
Earpiece.
Knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls.
total
We have
earpiece.
headquarters. I forget exactly how many. I don't want to cite a number and then find out I'm off. But we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states.
I got to do the screenshot. Hold on.
Or people are already there. And here, look, the other thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's
that?
had in a long,
I got that,
long
right?
time. We have well over 1,000 volunteers knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls. We have headquarters. I forget exactly how many. I don't want to cite a number and then find out I'm off. But we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states. We're organized. We're moving, and that's awful hard to replace in the near term. And so, and here's the other thing. I was in the Senate a long time. Very proud of what I've done in the Senate. I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case of the things that I think we have to finish and how we can't afford to lose what we've done or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have. Control guns, not girls. I mean, the idea we're sitting around, this is where Kamala's so good as well. We're sitting around. More children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing? We got a candidate saying, promise the NRA, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. We got a Supreme Court that is what you might call the most conservative court in American history. This is ridiculous. There's so much we can do still. And I'm determined to get it done. It's about freedom. And by the way, I'll end this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too. But I remember I made a speech on democracy in Philadelphia at Independence Hall. And I'm not being critical, just observing. The bulk of the press said, what the hell is he talking about that for? Democracy. You did. Democracy's not an issue. Democracy's not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously. But do you think our democracy is under siege based on this court? Do you think democracy is under siege based on Project 2025? Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service, eliminate the Department of Education, make sure, we've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say, hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job. I've got to finish this job because there's so much at stake.
You've had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about the question of health exams. And you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Well, look, two things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, as recently as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day about my neurological capacity to do decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas
That's just
you've
fucking
undertaken
scary.
have been in part initiated
He's
by me.
tested
I remember
every
the
day.
staff, I said, I'm going to go to South Korea. We're going to get the chip. What are you doing? I'm going to get Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. The only thing age does is help you with creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention.
So bad. It's so embarrassing.
So the point I'm making is, I
think
it's important that if the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out.
By the
I
way,
haven't hidden a thing. You ought to ask Trump for his, okay?
Yeah, okay.
I laid it all out. And every single day I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you, or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again, I'll do it. No one's suggesting that to me now. And I'll ask you another question. No matter what I did, no one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 docs? Did you have 2? Who'd you have? Did you do this? How many times did you? So I am not opposed.
It's that you had to have them at all, bro.
I should have another neurological exam.
It's that you had to have them at all. Fuck, he's not my bro.
Haley Bull, Scripps.
Ooh, Scripps
Thank you, Mr. President. You said you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I got overwhelming support. Overwhelming support. I won, I forget how many votes I won in the primary. Overwhelming. And so tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process. It's not going to happen.
Oh, God.
They vote for someone else?
Sure. Look. I'll end this with this. I served in the Senate a long time. I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office and whether they think the topic they can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least a purple.
I can't believe people actually still believe this guy is fucking capable of running a country. This is what's fucking amazing to me. There's a few people in this ABC chat, like Biden twin Garcia. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I understand the self-interest of it.
Could be a fucking bot.
If they think that, you know,
I'm just right here, David Lynch. I'm suggesting another exam.
I get it. But so far, go and
look here's Biden hearts
in their states.
They have no idea how bad they're being played. Oh, there it is. Just vote blue.
You all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts on this stuff. How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days? I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time. When the unlikely voters vote, he wins sometimes. The bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started. I mean, it hasn't started in earnest yet. Most of the time, it doesn't start till after.
But it's definitely not started for you, my friend.
So
it has not started for you.
A lot can happen.
Fucking criminal.
But I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, you know, we talk about, you know, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank.
All coming from Ukraine money, people. People pledging, celebrities pledging 900%.
You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win.
That's the same fucking thing.
Me. No one's saying that.
Oh, God.
No poll says that.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Thanks.
This ends tonight's press conference. Thanks, everybody.
He's going to walk out.
This concludes.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory.
Yep.
How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
He's going to walk. What are you going to say?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's.
Oh, listen to him.
Thank you,
That's
everybody.
it.
Thanks, everyone.
One more extraordinary moment in this presidential campaign, and we say this often, and we can't overstate it, that every day in the spotlight is another critical test for President Biden in this election, having given the debate performance.
You have to say, oh God, man, oh my God, oh my God. The last question was fucking perfect. That's the best question. That's the best question. You referred to Harris as Trump, Harris, whatever. And I pointed that out. And he fucking did. Then listen to him. That's your answer? Because everything else is scripted. It seemed like he kept doing this, like there's something wrong with the ear, right? The cough is like, I didn't get that question. Who knows? But let me pick from who I'm supposed to ask. What the fuck does that say? Is that the guy you want leading your country, listening to his handlers? And it's going to be the same thing with Kamala. It's going to be the same thing with all of them. The global pedo-predator class runs the Democratic Party and the Rhipiglicans. Mitch McConnell and alike. Right? Some other names are coming to my head, but I'm just telling you. That was terrible. Somebody's got to replay this to him. And especially the last answer. You clearly made a mistake in this speech, amongst other things, and Trump's going to use that against you. Well, then listen to him. What? It's like a fucking... This is what happens, dementia, old stuff, or whatever the fuck. It just happens. You turn into like a child, you know. I really can't wait for that to happen, honestly. Kidding. Because that was a good time, right? But the thing is right now, this is the guy leading your country who really believes that he fucking can is, you know, people, this is what happens at NATO, right? Everybody's a figurehead, period. The only person that's never been a figurehead is Donald Trump. At every fucking global meeting, whatever, he's always said what he wanted to fucking say. He doesn't follow a script. This is my fucking show. And now, when he gets back in, oh, shit's gonna hit the fan. This is terrible. Yeah, I think somebody's got to sit him down and say, dude, let's watch this together. Because it was fucking brutal. You dumb motherfucker. Okay? And then, if he still is in there, I think they might not, they created this monster. Read the book. Fucking Mary Shelley Frankenstein. And this is a perfect, and I just read that book. I think I tried to read it a long, long time ago. But I just read the whole fucking book, and I'm telling you, the Democratic Party and the global pedo-predator class, Victor Frankenstein, created this demon, this creature, and now he truly believes it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it's bad, and it's still out there. It's an evil, right? And it sucks because you kind of feel sorry for this thing. This creature that they created. I kind of do. I kind of feel sorry for this creature because they've fed him bullshit numbers and bullshit lies and all this other shit, you know. And then the guy that comes out at the end of that final question, when somebody was able to ask one fucking question that wasn't scripted, wasn't in the orchestration in the theater, said, you've just fucked up, and Trump's going to use that against you. And his answer was, then listen to him. Wow. That wasn't a conference. That wasn't a fucking. That was just the. You guys have to know that. Look, if you're still voting for Democrat, or that's you. If you're a fucking lunatic, go ahead. That's up to you. But I'm just gonna say this: our last hope is Donald Trump. You guys don't want to revolt. Nobody wants to go out there and protest the global predator cost World Economic Forum, fucking the WHO. You guys don't want to protest against the fucking Chatham House, BlackRock. You don't want to this global governance. It's on their fucking website. This is where the Demoncrats are moving to, global governance, and they want to make it okay for pedophilia to be fine. They're putting that out everywhere. Groomers are good. That's their fucking message. They've been doing this. Your food, your water, everything you have is being poisoned and destroyed. Trump wants the cleanest, freshest vegetables, fruits, meat, everything to hit your tables. He wants a strong fucking America. What is wrong with that? Democrats are all about sick people, big pharma, big hospital, big elderly care, big psychology, gender affirming shit, right? Because a fucking 5-year-old knows what they want to fucking be. Who the fuck? What? Just go look up gays against groomers. Those people are they're fine. Anyway, this is just crazy. It's beyond crazy. It's beyond lunacy. It's beyond a travesty that our country's come to this. And this man has no idea what's really happening. They're not telling him anything. I've been saying that for a long fucking time. He has no idea what's really going on in the world. They feed him what they want him to hear. When somebody finally says, hey, by the way, you actually suck and you're making a fucking fool of this party, this is where it's gotten, right? Democrats have been a lie anyway. They've been a lie for a long fucking time. A lie, a fucking total lie. I was having a little debate with somebody the other day, and I'll end with this. I sent this out, right here. The Demoncrats have been perpetrating a fraud and deception for decades. They're not what they claim to be ever. 13th Amendment abolished slavery. That had 100% Republican support, 23% Democratic support. 15th Amendment, right to vote for all, 100% Republican support. That's for all. Women, everybody. 0% from the Democrats. 14th Amendment gave citizenship to freed slaves. 94%, there was a few ding-dongs. Republican support. 94, almost very close to 100, and 0 Democratic. Oh, wait a second. Who killed Lincoln? Democrat. Killed JFK? Democrat. Killed MLK? Democrat. Killed the KKK. Created the KKK? Democrat. Lynched blacks constantly? The Democrats. Segregation was created by the Democrats. Created Jim Crow. They always talk about Jim Crow. Guess Jim Crow is all fucking Democrat. Okay, internment camps for the Japanese during World War II, man. It was fucked. And you guys can't forget this. The Confederacy, that was Democrats. And here's the best part right here. Eugenicist. A eugenicist is all human beings are not born equally. They're kind of the Aryan white type. They believe that they are the chosen people. And they don't have to be white, by the way. Margaret H. Sanger, it just has to be the particular bloodline, which is all over the place, by the way. Margaret A. Sanger of Planned Parenthood, who wants everybody to be aborted, had 3 children. And they all grew up having more children. Planned Parenthood's clinics were strategically placed in low-income, mainly black and minority cities throughout the fucking world, throughout the country. Throughout the United States. Why? Why do you think? Anyway, so right now the percentage of blacks in the United States is about 14%. Guess what? What would it have been, I don't know, before Planned Parenthood? If Planned Parenthood wasn't able to go out there and exterminate and genocide minorities, I mean, even our culture was, they couldn't wait to put fucking Planned Parenthood in Hawaii. I remember, right? I'm telling you. 14% black. That percentage would probably double or triple. Which this should be. It should be. It's, look, I've lived in West Virginia. I'm now living in Missouri. These are two red states. Everybody gets along. Everybody. We talk to each other like fucking men. We talk to each other like fucking women. Because there's only two fucking genders. Okay? There's only two fucking genders. And if you say there's another gender, you've lost your fucking mind. You've lost your mind. If you think if there's more than one sex, then you've really lost your fucking mind. Okay, if you say there's only one more than two sexes, then you've lost your fucking mind. You've really lost your mind. Really and absolutely lost your mind. You've been conditioned. It's bad. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. This is Mono Talk. That was a fucking nightmare. That was a fucking nightmare. Man, I'm not even going to go. All they got to do is just show him what he's done. Just, are you watching? He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. I think they're going to remove him. I think the party will get rid of him. I think there'll be a cry out for him to get rid of, because they're already sitting in Paris anyway. They just want him out of there. And then they're going to try to get Harris, and Harris is going to be beat up by Tulsi Gabbard all over the media, because she's going to go after that bitch. Tulsi Gabbard is going to fucking destroy Harris. It's going to be glorious. Glorious! And there's nothing wrong with winning, people. I just don't like cheats and liars. Like the fucking Demoncrats. Aloha. Thank you for watching Mono Talk.